Half a century after the death of the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, rumors about the reopening of his tomb have been circulating. Get ready for a thrilling journey through one of music's most fascinating mysteries, the opening of Elvis Presley's tomb. The world has been fascinated by the enigmatic figure of Elvis Presley for decades. His explosive rise to fame, tragic death, and lasting legacy have all contributed to a myth that captivated generations of fans. Now, 50 years after his death, there is a decision to open the tomb for the first time, which has sent a wave of excitement and anticipation around the world. We will dive deep into the world of the king of rock and roll to uncover the truth behind rumors, conspiracy theories, and everything in between. So get ready to enjoy your peanut butter and banana sandwiches, because this is going to be one heck of a journey. To fully understand the significance of the rumors surrounding Elvis Presley's tomb, it's important to delve into the life and legacy of the man himself. Let's set the stage. It was January 8th, 1935, when Elvis Aaron Presley was born in a small and humble home in Tupelo, Mississippi. He was gifted with a voice as smooth as velvet and a rebellious spirit that was as iconic as his pompadour. However, before he rose to become a music sensation, Elvis Presley was just a kid from Tupelo with a dream and a lot of talent. He was born in a tiny two-room shotgun house built by his father Vernon and Uncle Jesse, which was smaller than an average walk-in closet. Despite experiencing the hardships of poverty at an early age, his childhood was filled with love, laughter, and a lot of music. Elvis Presley had a deep-rooted connection to music from an early age, thanks to his religious upbringing. Raised in Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis grew up surrounded by the soulful sounds of gospel music, which he first encountered at the Assembly of God Church, where his family worshipped. His love for music blossomed as he was drawn to the harmonies and melodies of gospel tunes that filled the church. As a young boy, Elvis was mesmerized by the music of gospel legends such as Mahalia Jackson and the Blackwood Brothers Quartet. He would often find himself singing along with their records, trying to imitate their vocal styles. His natural talent and fervor for music shone through, and he soon found himself performing at various talent shows and local events. Tupelo's vibrant music scene also left a lasting impact on Elvis, as he immersed himself in the rich musical traditions of African-American culture. From visiting blues joints to savoring the sounds of the South at barbecue spots, Elvis absorbed the diverse rhythms and melodies like a true Southern boy. His musical influences ranged from blues and gospel to country and R&B, shaping the unique sound that would later define his legendary career. It was this diverse musical background that would later inform Elvis's revolutionary rock and roll sound. From his early recordings of That's All Right and Blue Moon of Kentucky, to his iconic performances on The Ed Sullivan Show, Elvis's music was a fusion of blues, country, and gospel that would change the face of music forever. Elvis Presley's upbringing and early exposure to gospel music played a significant role in shaping his musical career and the iconic sound that made him a legend. Let's talk about Gladys Presley, aka Mama Elvis. This lady was the ultimate Elvis fan, and I'm not talking about just having a poster of him on her wall. She treated her son like he was the second coming of Elvis himself, and honestly, who can blame her? Have you seen those hip-shaking moves? Mama Elvis wasn't just a fan, though. She was also a talented seamstress and chef. I mean, who else can whip up a fried peanut butter and banana sandwich like it's nobody's business? That's some serious culinary genius at work. Despite her son's dreams of fame and fortune, Mama Elvis always kept him grounded. She knew that even with a guitar in one hand and a dream in the other, he had to stay true to his roots. Plus, let's be real, those sequin jumpsuits didn't exactly scream down to earth, but hey, Mama Elvis couldn't have predicted the wild ride that her son would go on. From the cotton fields of Tupelo to the bright lights of Memphis, Elvis's journey was full of twists, turns, and more rhinestones than you can shake a stick at. And through it all, Mama Elvis was there, cheering him on and making sure he stayed true to himself. Fast forward to the 1950s, and the world was buzzing with a new musical revolution, the sounds of rock and roll. Enter the one and only Elvis Presley, a young Tupelo native with a voice as smooth as butter and hips that could start a dance revolution in a heartbeat. With his slick back hair and that oh-so-dreamy gaze, Elvis was the epitome of cool in an era defined by rebellion and teenage angst. Elvis' journey to stardom began in a place you wouldn't expect: the Sun Records recording studios in Memphis, Tennessee. There, the legendary producer Sam Phillips caught wind of this young troublemaker's raw talent and irresistible charm. Armed with his guitar and enough charisma to power a small country, Elvis belted out his first hits, including the timeless That's All Right and Blue Moon of Kentucky, sending shockwaves through the music industry and setting the stage for a full-blown revolution. With chart toppers like Heartbreak Hotel, Hound Dog, and Jailhouse Rock, he became the undisputed king of rock and roll, a title he held for what feels like an eternity. With a voice that was a magical mishmash of blues, country, and gospel, he became the poster boy for youth rebellion, a hero to millions who couldn't resist his hip-swiveling moves and golden voice. Elvis Presley's impact was nothing short of seismic, with hit after hit climbing to the top of the charts. His reign at the top was as legendary as his unmistakable sideburns. His songs dominated the Billboard Hot 100 like a king ruling over his kingdom, and fans couldn't get enough. From the moment he burst onto the scene, he had everyone hooked. It was like a musical rapture. And it wasn't just the quantity of Elvis chart toppers that set him apart, it was their quality too. His #1 singles were timeless classics that could make even the grumpiest grandpa tap his feet. From Heartbreak Hotel to Can't Help Falling in Love, each song was a masterpiece in its own right, showcasing Elvis' unmatched talent and versatility. Elvis Presley's impact on the music industry was out of this world. If music charts were kingdoms, he would have been the undisputed king, reigning for years and even decades. The man had more hits than a pinata at a birthday party. You just couldn't keep him off the charts. And let's talk about awards. Elvis didn't just win a couple, he collected them like some people collect stamps. He even got a Lifetime Achievement Grammy at the ripe old age of 36. That's like getting a gold watch for your music career. Elvis music didn't just travel the world, it took a first-class flight and left a mark in every corner of the globe. Whether it was his catchy pop tunes or his soul-stirring gospel music, the impact was felt far and wide. His musical legacy continues to make people shake, rattle, and roll around the world. Was like watching a hunk of burning love become a sizzling sensation in Hollywood. Picture this, it's the late 1950s, and Elvis is on top of the world with his music. Meanwhile, Hollywood big shots are thinking, hey, we need some of that hip-shaking, lip-curling magic in our movies, and just like that, the king of rock and roll became the king of Hollywood. Elvis strutted onto the silver screen in 1956 with Love Me Tender, a romantic western that had audiences swooning faster than you can say thank you very much. His natural charisma and undeniable star power lit up the screen, proving that he could do more than just croon into a mic and wiggle those hips. Critics and fans alike were all shaken up by his acting chops, solidifying his status as the ultimate triple threat. From then on, Elvis proved that he could handle any role thrown his way, whether it was a singing cowboy or a swoon-worthy heartthrob. It was like he was saying, I'm not just a hunk, I'm a talented hunk. And the world couldn't help but fall in love with the king all over again. Elvis Presley was not just a legendary singer, but also a talented actor who starred in 31 movies throughout his career. His contribution to the world of cinema was remarkable, and his performances left an indelible mark on the industry. Despite being known for his musical abilities, Elvis proved himself as a versatile actor who could handle any role thrown his way. His filmography spanned across a wide range of genres, including musical comedies, romantic dramas, and action-packed westerns, showcasing his dynamic acting skills. In his musical comedies like Blue Hawaii and Fun in Acapulco, Elvis charmed audiences with his singing and dancing abilities. His magnetic screen presence and undeniable charm were evident in every scene, leaving the audience spellbound. The dramatic films like King Creole and Jailhouse Rock showcased his acting prowess, where he portrayed complex characters with powerful and nuanced performances. He brought authenticity and passion to his roles that made them unforgettable, and audiences couldn't get enough of him. Well, let me tell you, Elvis Presley wasn't just a hip-shaking, guitar-wielding heartthrob. He was also a major box office draw. His movies were so popular that people were practically throwing their popcorn at the screen in excitement. One of his most iconic films, Viva Las Vegas, was a love story set in Sin City. And let me tell you, the chemistry between Elvis and Anne Margaret was hotter than the Nevada sun. They were like a pair of matching sequin jumpsuits, perfectly in sync. Elvis was a true triple threat. He could act, sing, and make hearts flutter all at the same time. His movies were so iconic that they captured the essence of the era perfectly. With their catchy tunes, dazzling dance numbers, and timeless charm, they were the perfect way to escape the real world and just have some fun. So, if you're ever feeling blue, pop in an Elvis movie and get ready to shake, rattle, and roll. Elvis Presley made a comeback that was so remarkable that it's still talked about today. After a relatively quiet period in the early 1960s, Elvis was ready to reclaim his throne as the king of rock and roll. And boy, did he do it in style. In December 1968, Elvis graced the small screen in his iconic NBC television special. Elvis dressed in black leather, he looked like the coolest cat in town. And when he started performing, it was like magic. He had the audience eating out of his hand with a performance that was raw, energetic, and utterly mesmerizing. It was clear from the get-go that Elvis was back and ready to reclaim his rightful place at the top of the charts. All in all, it was an electrifying moment in music history. And even though it happened over 50 years ago, fans still can't get enough of the king. The Elvis special was like a shot of pure rock and roll adrenaline straight to the heart. The king was back, baby. His performance was so electrifying, I'm pretty sure my TV grew sideburns just from watching it, with those hips swiveling and that voice booming. Elvis reminded everyone that he was the original rock star. And after that special, it was like the music gods hit the Unleash Awesome Tracks button. Suspicious Minds in the Ghetto and Burning Love, these songs weren't just hits, they were sonic explosions of pure Elvis magic. The king had returned, and the music world would never be the same again. Boy, did he have quite the comeback. Not only did he slay in the recording studio, but he also became the king of Las Vegas. He turned that city into his personal playground with his electrifying performances and extravagant stages that could put some Broadway shows to shame. People would come from far and wide just to catch a glimpse of the king in all his glory. And let's not forget about his sold-out concert tours that took him around the world. From the stadiums and arenas of America to the glitz and glamour of Las Vegas, Elvis proved that he was still the king of rock and roll. I mean, who else could make a bedazzled jumpsuit look so cool? It was a day that shook the world. On August 16, 1977, Elvis Presley, the beloved music legend, was found dead in his bathroom at Graceland, his luxurious mansion in Memphis, Tennessee. His fiancée Ginger Alden was the one to discover him. And despite the efforts of paramedics, Elvis was pronounced dead that afternoon. He was only 42 years old. The official cause of death was a heart attack, brought on by an enlarged heart due to hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. But that was not all. A toxicology report revealed that Elvis had a cocktail of prescription drugs in his system, which raised questions about his final moments and his battle with addiction. His doctor was heavily criticized for enabling his drug use, and those close to him had expressed concern about his health for a while. But despite their worries, nobody intervened due to the loyalty and love they had for the king of rock and roll. Elvis' final night was a restless one. He couldn't sleep and had been taking pills prescribed to him throughout the night. At around 2:30 a.m., he retired to the bathroom, but hours later, Ginger found him unconscious on the tile floor. The news of his death sent shockwaves throughout the music industry and left his fans devastated. Despite the sadness, the fans came together to honor the king. A candlelight vigil was held at Graceland, and the gates were decorated with flowers and tributes. For many, Elvis Presley's legacy lives on, and his music will never be forgotten. The world was captivated as reporters and photographers flocked to Memphis, eager to uncover every detail of the tragedy. Speculation and conspiracy theories ran rampant as people questioned the circumstances surrounding Elvis' untimely passing. Those close to him shared the heartbreaking story of a man battling with addiction, depression, and the overwhelming pressures of fame. His tragic end served as a poignant reminder of the toll that stardom can take on a person. Elvis' funeral took place on August 18, 1977, just 2 days after his sudden death. He was laid to rest in the serene meditation garden at Graceland, his iconic mansion in Memphis, Tennessee. This tranquil spot held a special significance for Elvis, often providing him with a peaceful retreat. The private memorial was attended by family, friends, and industry insiders, while thousands of devoted fans gathered outside the gates of Graceland. The meditation garden was adorned with stunning red roses, Elvis' favorite flowers, and a beautiful fountain that added a sense of serenity to the somber occasion. Even in death, the solid copper coffin lined with velvet exuded a regal presence. The service was a moving tribute, featuring heartfelt eulogies and musical performances that resonated throughout the garden. Reverend C.W. Bradley, who had officiated Elvis and Priscilla's wedding, conducted the ceremony with grace and reverence. Gospel singers, including J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet, filled the air with Elvis' beloved songs, creating a timeless and poignant atmosphere. As the ceremony drew to a close, Elvis' casket was gently lowered into the ground, marking his final resting place alongside his parents Vernon and Gladys, and his beloved grandmother Minnie Mae. In the years following Elvis' tragic death, the focus shifted to Dr. Nick, whose professional life took a dramatic turn in the whirlwind of events. A once respected doctor got into a legal storm and was accused of his own prescribing practices. In 1980, Dr. Nick faced a huge legal challenge with 14 counts of overprescribing drugs over his head. These weren't just for Elvis, they extended to others like Jerry Lee Lewis, tarnishing his medical reputation. Despite the seriousness of the charges, Dr. Nick was able to avoid conviction and left the courtroom acquitted. However, his legal troubles were not over. Shocked by his behavior, the Tennessee Board of Medicine took decisive action that resonated throughout the medical community. They permanently revoked his medical license. The decision came after damning evidence revealed years of overprescribing, raising deep concerns about Dr. Nick's medical judgment and ethical compass. But Dr. Nick's life wasn't just defined by legal battles, it was also mediated by strange and painful events. In 1979, during a seemingly innocent football match, fate intervened. A shot rang out and Dr. Nick found himself looking down the barrel of a gun, a bullet tearing through his chest. Miraculously, he survived his severe injuries, but the incident remained a mystery. The suspect was never caught, raising questions and fueling speculation that the shooting may have been revenge by angry Elvis fans. Right of late, there's some wild speculation going around that his tomb might be opened. I mean, I know we've all been waiting for his comeback, but this is taking things to a whole new level. The source of the rumor is as mysterious as Elvis himself. Some say it started in the depths of internet forums, while others claim it was whispered by the ghost of Elvis himself. Who knows? All we do know is that it's got the Elvis-loving community in a tizzy. I mean, they're more excited than a hound dog with a fresh bone. If this rumor turns out to be true, it'll be bigger than Elvis's signature hairdo. Fans will be lining up to catch a glimpse of the king's final resting place. I just hope they don't get too all shook up when they see it. But what could fuel such wild speculation? Some believe in the theory that Elvis faked his death, pointing to strange inconsistencies around his tombstone. His middle name, Aaron, is spelled Aaron on the grave markers, leading some to believe that this is a subtle clue left by Elvis himself, hinting at the possibility that his funeral was not quite what it seemed. Elvis Presley is a name that has always been surrounded by mystery and intrigue even long after his death. For years, people from all corners of the globe have come forward with tales of having met the icon while he was alive, and even after he passed away. These sightings have become a cultural phenomenon, with people sharing their experiences of seeing Elvis in the flesh. The first reported sighting of Elvis occurred just a day after his death, when a man who resembled him bought a one-way ticket to Buenos Aires under the name John Burrow. In the late 1970s, an intriguing photo surfaced, supposedly showing Elvis lounging in his Graceland pool house. Debate still rages over the identity of the figure in the photo, with some convinced it's the king himself. Fast forward to the 1980s, and there were many sightings of Elvis in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Several people claimed to have seen him going about his business as he had never left the stage. Adding to the mystery was an eerie phone call in 1988 from someone who sounded just like Elvis, claiming that the king was not only alive but ready to return. Whether it was a hoax or a genuine call, it reignited the flames of conspiracy theories surrounding Elvis's fate and kept the legend of the king of rock and roll alive. It's fascinating to think about how one man's legacy has continued to captivate audiences all over the world, even decades after his death. Then there is the intriguing sight of a figure that bears a striking resemblance to an older Elvis in the background of a scene from the 1990 film Home Alone. In this busy airport, the bearded gentleman stands over the left shoulder of Catherine O'Hara's grumpy mother figure. His facial features, the contours of his face, his gaze, even his posture create a familiar feel that matches the king of rock's iconic look. A thick and well-groomed beard covers much of his lower face, leading some to believe it may be a clever disguise. While not the cool look we usually associate with Elvis, it adds to the mystery surrounding the character's identity. His outfit, a sports coat and sweater, speaks of a timeless style that matches Elvis' aesthetic, prompting further speculation. But not only the appearance of the character caught the attention of theorists, it is also his body language. There is an air of impatience and discontent in his demeanor, reminiscent of a star who was once in the spotlight but now finds himself relegated to the background. These harrowing details are exciting fans and theorists alike, reigniting the age-old debate over the true fate of the king of rock and roll. Handwriting analysis has added another layer to the intrigue surrounding Elvis Presley's death. Some handwriting experts have carefully studied and compared Elvis' signatures in the years since his reported death with his earlier signatures. They say there are suspicious discrepancies in later signatures, suggesting the possibility that someone else may have signed on his behalf to maintain the illusion of his death. The circumstances of Elvis' funeral raised eyebrows even among those who believe in the fake death theory. Despite being a beloved public figure, the funeral was relatively small and private. Elvis' body was buried in a 900-pound copper casket, a detail some thought puzzling and unnecessary, unless it was empty, as skeptics suggest. The rushed procedures after the announcement of his death led some to question whether the rush was intended to avoid scrutiny. Elvis' observations seemed to defy time and logic, even extending into the realm of music publishing. In 1988, a mysterious song called Spelling on the Stone surfaced, attributed to an unnamed artist. Many fans were quick to speculate that it was Elvis himself shouting from beyond the grave, or perhaps from a secret hideout where he remained very much alive. As the new millennium dawned, Elvis's sightings took an unexpected turn. He was reportedly spotted at the opening of Legoland in California, of all places. It was later revealed that impersonators were hired for the event, but initial claims of his presence caused excitement among Elvis enthusiasts. The tabloid weekly World News kept the sighting saga alive with a series of articles detailing Elvis' supposed adventures after 1977. They painted a portrait of a globe-trotting Elvis who staged his own death to avoid the limelight and live in anonymity. Some believers saw mysterious clues in his music and album art, pointing to songs like I'll Never Know and Way Down that contained lyrics hinting at his plans to disappear. The cover of the album Promised Land had Elvis dressed in a white suit, which some interpreted as a symbolic representation of his ascension to a higher plane of existence. Others pointed to strange details about his death, such as the strange position of his body and his pajama pants around his ankles, as signs of foul play or staged events. Conspiracy theorists have long speculated about the circumstances surrounding Elvis Presley's death. Some believe that the autopsy protocol was violated or that toxicology results were intentionally withheld to conceal the truth. Elvis' life was as extravagant as the dazzling stage costumes he favored, and the notion that he staged his own disappearance is the ultimate act of rebellion against a world that constantly scrutinized his every move. The idea of faking one's own death carries with it the allure of a daring escape, offering a chance to break free from the relentless pressure of fame and the unrelenting gaze of the public eye. For someone like Elvis, who lived his life in the unforgiving spotlight, the notion of vanishing into anonymity must have held an undeniable appeal. Just picture the freedom of strolling down the street without being hounded by paparazzi, or the relief of not seeing sensational headlines plastered across tabloid front pages. Financial freedom may also have played a major role in Elvis' decision to stage his own death. The demands of managing his career, dealing with agents and managers, and the constant need to maintain a lavish lifestyle could become overwhelming. Faking his death could have provided an escape from the financial burdens and expectations that came with stardom, allowing him to live a quieter, more modest life away from the spotlight. But perhaps most interesting is the possibility of a big comeback. The music industry thrives on sensational stories, and what could be more sensational than the king of rock and roll coming back from the dead? It would be the ultimate plot twist, a historic moment that would reverberate through the entertainment world for generations to come. Then you have to consider the weight of the inheritance. For someone as iconic as Elvis, there must have been enormous pressure to maintain his legendary status. By faking his death, he was able to ensure that his legacy would remain intact, frozen in time at the height of his fame. This would allow him to remain forever young and alive in the hearts of his adoring fans and forever maintain the image of a rock and roll legend. From a more personal perspective, faking one's death could be about reclaiming one's life. In a world where Elvis had little say over his privacy, image, and even personal decisions, staging his own death would have been the ultimate act of self-determination. It would be entirely his own decision, a closely guarded secret, and a final bow on his own terms. I mean, who wouldn't want to be like the king of rock? The good news is that it's not just about his music anymore. You can make a career out of being an Elvis tribute artist. Who needs a boring 9-to-5 job when you can wear a flashy jumpsuit and sing jailhouse rock all day long? But let me tell you, it's not just about the outfit and the songs. You gotta have the charisma and the moves to pull it off. These tribute artists go to great lengths to study Elvis' every move and mannerism. They even practice his speech patterns. I mean, imagine being able to say thank you very much like Elvis. That's a talent right there. And don't even get me started on the competitions. It's not just about nailing the song, oh no, you gotta embody the king on stage. I'm talking about the lip curl, the hip shake, and the whole shebang. It's like a game of who can be the most Elvis-like, and let me tell you, the attention to detail is impressive. If you're an Elvis fan, you gotta check out Elvis Week at Graceland. It's like a party that never stops. Fans from all over the world gather in Memphis to celebrate the king's life and legacy. They swap rare memorabilia, create intricate fan art, and sing their hearts out to his greatest hits. But wait, there's more. Some fans are so dedicated to Elvis that they've formed their own Church of Elvis. That's right, move over Moses, hello Elvis. They see him as a messianic figure and hold meetings that combine traditional religious practices with, you guessed it, the singing of Elvis songs. Talk about a hunk of burnin' love for the king. All in all, Elvis Week is a week-long festival full of music, storytelling, and camaraderie. It's a place where fans can unite and honor their beloved icon. One can also have an Elvis impersonator perform their wedding ceremony. That's right, you can exchange vows with your beloved while being serenaded by the king himself, or at least someone who looks and sounds like him. It's a quirky mix of kitsch and sentimentality that's become synonymous with getting hitched in Sin City. But the Elvis obsession doesn't stop there. In the digital world, fans have created virtual communities where they share rare concert footage, discuss Elvis' impact on their lives, and even role-play being the king himself. And if that's not enough, some fans even collect memorabilia dedicating entire rooms or homes to showcase their prized possessions. From vinyl records to royal personal items, the hunt for these treasures is endless. So whether you're a lifelong Elvis fan or just looking for a unique way to tie the knot, Vegas has got you covered. Who knows, maybe one day you'll find yourself dancing to Can't Help Falling in Love with the king of rock and roll himself, or at least a really good impersonator. There's a whole world out there of people who love the king of rock and roll so much that they've gotten tattoos of him. That's right, Elvis fan tattoos are a thing. It's like having a permanent concert ticket on your arm, except without the long lines and overpriced beer. From subtle to elaborate, these tattoos can range from a small portrait of Elvis to a full-on tribute that covers an entire body part. And if you thought that was the end of the Elvis fandom, think again, because there's a new trend in town: Elvis look-alike pets. Yes, you heard that right. People are dressing up their dogs in miniature Elvis costumes, complete with tiny wigs and sunglasses. These furry fans are the life of the party at fan meetings and parades, and they're guaranteed to bring a smile to everyone's face. All in all, Elvis Presley's life continues to fascinate and inspire fans around the world. Despite the rumors about the opening of his tomb, his legacy lives on through his music, movies, and the impact he had on popular culture. What are your thoughts on the rumors about the opening of Elvis's tomb? Do you think it should remain undisturbed as a mark of respect, or do you believe it's an opportunity to learn more about the legendary singer? Share your opinions in the comments below.